everyone, welcome to my channel, Books, Squares, and Purrs. My name is Leslie, and it is October. And if you're not familiar with my channel, this year and next year, I'm having this interview with a Vampire Inspired Readathon because I really love AMC's adaptation of the books, The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. I just really love these characters. And so for my readathon, I'm covering 4 characters a year. So January and February, it was Louis. And then after that was Madeleine, Claudia. And to end the year, we're going to be discussing Daniel Malloy, which I'm really excited about because Louis is my favorite character, but the adaptation of Daniel Malloy is like, I can't even say my second. They're just like together. I love them both. They're Daniel's like fast becoming my favorite, but always Louis is number one. So for my readathon, what I'm doing is I'm snooping on to the bookshelves of each character. And so the book prompts are based on character arcs or themes that I've noticed on the show. And then I'm going to share each book that I'm reading for each prompt. So you could read the exact same book I'm reading. So read along with me. I also share a read along on StoryGraph. So if you're on StoryGraph, I'm going to open that up for every time I read a book. And then so you can comment along with me if you like. And also, if you're on StoryGraph and you just want to be able to participate in the readathon through there with whatever book you're reading, I do create like a readathon on StoryGraph for you to attach yourself to. I'll probably take a peek at the end. I just realized with this just to kind of show you Claudia's because I still haven't like finished closing that one out. Anyways, so yes, or you could read whatever book you want. It's just really a way to encourage reading, whether it's your local library, on your bookshelf and whatnot, or if you're gonna binge read like I do at your local bookstore, which I'm trying not to. Okay, that's another thing. I'm doing this readathon as well, just a way to engage with my books on my shelf. So there you go. I'm gonna go ahead and share let's see if I know what I'm doing. All right. Hopefully this one's not too small and you can see it. All right, so 6 books on Daniel Malloy's bookshelf. I'm gonna just go ahead and let you know what all the prompts are. This is like a drafted version of the PowerPoint, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'll release it as a separate video. It'll just look a little bit better, a little more refined, just so you know. So these are the 6 prompts. He's a bright young reporter with a point of view. So for that one, read a journalistic nonfiction piece. So, but it has to be like a journalist, basically. Daniel Malloy has experienced violence in his lifetime. We see that in the flashback of his first interview with Louis. So read a book that discusses violence. He has a complex love life. So I don't want you to just read about a complex love life, yes, but something where there's an obstacle clearly in the way of a loving relationship coming to fruition, or I just want a love story with an obstacle. Like make it messy, okay? His memory has been compromised, so read a book where a fractured memory is part of the narrative. Daniel Malloy is a recovering drug addict, so read a book where addiction is part of the story or the plot. And lastly, F around and find out. I wrote it that way because I figured I could get away with writing it that way. So read a book that discusses revenge. So next we're going to, all right, he's a bright young reporter with a point of view. Before I continue, just know that my books that I've chosen are like nonfiction heavy. So just keep that in mind. And so there are going to be some sensitive topics. And so, again, if you don't want to read along with the books that I'm reading, don't go there. I'm also a channel that discusses, or I like to read books that are more focused on social injustices. So again, if the topics are too heavy, because they are going to be heavy, then that's okay. Don't read them. I'm just letting you know. So the first book I'm going to read, which is a journalistic piece, is called "The Rape of Nanking: The Forgotten Holocaust of World War II," and that is by Iris Chang. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to read you the summary if I have it in here. So on the back of the book, it says, in December 1937, the Japanese army swept into the ancient city of Nanking. Within weeks, more than 300,000 civilians and soldiers were systematically assaulted, tortured, murdered, a death toll exceeding that of the atomic blast in Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. Iris Chang is one of the nation's leading historians and critically acclaimed author of The Thread of the Silkworm. Tells the story from three perspectives: that of the Japanese soldier, that of the Chinese, and that of a group of Westerners who refused to abandon the city and created a safety zone, which saved almost 300 Chinese. More than just narrating the details of an orgy of violence, in The Rape of Nanking, Chang analyzes the militaristic culture that fostered in the Japanese soldiers a total disregard for human life. It also tells of the concerted effort during the Cold War on the part of the West and even China to stifle open discussion of this atrocity, drawing on extensive interviews and survivors and documents brought to light for the first time. Iris Chang's classic is a definitive history of this horrifying episode. So, another thing is, a lot of the books I'm reading are very thick, and I'm sure they're going to be some dry reads. So, this is going to be a big challenge for me at the end of this year, basically. So, usually, my readathons are like 2 months. For Claudia, I had to take some time, the gap time, so that was like 3 months. Because these books are so chunky, this might go on for 3 months as well, but we'll see. All right, so the next. All right, so Daniel is someone that has experienced violence. So the next book is going to be by Brian Burrow, author of Public Enemies, and that's Days of Rage: America's Radical Underground, the FBI, and the Forgotten Age of Revolutionary Violence. Hopefully, I feel like I'm getting too close. How do I make it so you can see it? All right, so the Weathermen, the Symbionese Liberation Army, the FALN, the Black Liberation Army. The names seem quaint now when not forgotten altogether, but there was a time in America during the 1970s when bombing by domestic underground groups were a daily occurrence. The FBI combated these and other groups as nodes in a single revolutionary underground dedicated to the violent overthrow of the American government. In Days of Rage, Brian Burrow, bestselling author of Public Enemy and The Big Rich, conjures a time of native-born radicals, most of them nice middle-class kids, smuggling bombs into skyscrapers and detonating them into the Pentagon and the U.S. Capitol, and a Boston courthouse, and in a Wall Street restaurant packed with lunchtime diners. In a fevered response to these deranged times, the FBI formed a secret task force called Squad 47, dedicated to hunting the groups down and rolling them up. But in its attempt to bring the revolutionaries to justice, the FBI itself broke many laws, often with disastrous consequences, drawing on revolutionary interviews with members of the underground and the FBI who speak about their experience for the first time. Days of Rage is a mesmerizing book that takes us into the heart and minds of homegrown terrorists and federal agents alike, and weaves their stories into a spellbinding secret history in the 1970s. So this is, again, just like right up my alley of the kind of book that I'm interested in reading. And I thought, Daniel's a journalist. He's won awards, and so I think that this would be something like in the vein of what he would write, really. Daniel has been involved in like he has a very complex love life. We know he has kids that won't speak to him, and that he has he's two ex-wives, and as fans of the books, and if we watch the show, we kind of see what may be going on next season. So yes, uh, complex love life. Please pick a book that's just not about the complex love, but when there's like a huge obstacle to that love coming into fruition. So I'm going to read Mark Z. Danielewski's Only Revolutions. And I thought this would be a cool book because the formatting is, I think, let's say interesting to say the least. It's going to be an experience. So apparently this book, I read it one way for one narrative, and then I turn it upside down and I read it the other way for another narrative. So I'm going to go ahead and read the inside of it. And it says, Danielewski's Only Revolution raises the level of American literature to a new height of experimentation. As complex as the novel appears, it is based essentially on the simple romantic stories of two young lovers, Haley and Sam, as they cross the continent in jalopies. Their love is fated by the lives they are trying to escape from, and more, fated by history, not only American history, but world history. So overwhelming, the history of those who die in train wrecks, in earthquakes, in wars. This innovative novel combines the rhythm and swing of rap with a high lyricism of the beauty of nature and the ways stories of two young fated lovers do. Only Revolutions instills in the reader that indefinable longing and love for what is beyond history. It dares the grand emotion. And if there's anything that the Chronicles captures is grand emotion. We see that adapted so well on the show. So that's what I'm going to be reading for Complex Love Life. So as you know, I do discuss, I have my book discussions. I try to keep them brief, largely non-spoiler, and that comes out on Wednesdays. This one's going to be a live show, so it's going to be on the weekend because that's the only way I could really have shows is on the weekend because I work on the weekdays. And that's going to be, oh yeah, it's also his memory has been compromised. So read a book about like fractured memory in some way. I'm going to be reading The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. Um, and so I'm excited because I'm going to have a live show with actually two people. And I'm just glad that they're going to like squeeze in time to have the discussion with me. So on the back it says, on an unnamed island, objects are disappearing. First hats, then ribbons, birds, roses. Most of the inhabitants are oblivious to these changes, while those few able to recall the lost objects live in fear of the draconian memory police, who are committed to ensuring that what has disappeared remains forgotten. When a young writer discovers that her editor is in danger, she concocts a plan to hide him beneath her floorboards, and together they cling to her writing as the last way of preserving the past. Powerful and provocative, The Memory Police is a stunning novel about the trauma of loss. And so, wow, that just sounds like it fits into the show so well, especially since the first two seasons are of the Interview the Vampire are covering really the loss of Claudia, right? And of complex love. See that when you flash back to the past for Daniel, he is someone on the show that has addiction issues, and so he's, as far as we know, he's in recovery. But that's also something that was captured in the book. In the third book, The Queen of the Damned, there's that one chapter called Devil's Minion, and that was something that was apparent about his character. And so I'll be reading William Burroughs' Naked Lunch. I'm a bit concerned I'm not going to like this book, so you let me know. I know David Burroughs is one of those authors that people enjoy, but I don't know. I'm just concerned I'm not going to like it. And this has been on my bookshelf for a while. So this is a great example of this readathon encouraged me to read books on my shelf that I just been staring at and have been actually hesitant to read for this one. So on the back it says Naked Lunch is one of the most important novels of the 20th century, a book that redefined literature, a startling tale of the narcotics addict unmoored in New York, Tangier, and ultimately a nightmarish wasteland known as Interzone. Its formal innovations, taboo subject matter, and virtuoso style have exerted a significant influence on authors like Thomas Pynchon, J.G. Ballard, William Gibson, and Will Self, as well as on music, film, and the media generally. This restored edition incorporates Burroughs' notes on the text, several essays he wrote about the book, and an appendix of new material and alternative drafts from the original manuscript for the Burroughs enthusiast and the neophyte. This volume is a definitive and fresh experience of this classic of our culture. So let's see. That's some big talk about a book. And so let's see if I end up getting into this or not. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I've read other books that have been lauded, and then I end up not liking it. So, but of all the books, this next book is the last, but not the least, because this is the book that I'm mostly excited to discuss. This book I am going to be having a live discussion for in November, and that is for F Around and Find Out. And so I'm excited to read from this author, and this is by Eric Bogosian himself, the actor that plays Daniel Malloy. Yes, he's a playwright, he's an author, among other things. So this is called Operation Nemesis, the assassination plot that avenged the Armenian genocide. The reason why I'm reading this is because F Around and Find Out is I would like you to focus on reading a revenge narrative of some sort. So this is nonfiction, and I'll read the back like I have been. It says in 1921, a small group of self appointed patriots set out to avenge the death of more than 1 million victims of the Armenian genocide. They named their operation Nemesis after the Greek goddess of retribution. Over several years, the men tracked down and assassinated former Turkish leaders. The account of this secret operation has never been fully told until now. Eric Bogosian goes beyond simply telling the story of this cadre of Armenian assassins to set the killing in context by providing a summation of the Ottoman and Armenian history as well as that of the genocide itself, casting fresh light on one of the great crimes of the 20th century and one of the history's most remarkable acts of political retribution, and drawing upon years of new research across multiple continents. Operation Nemesis is both a riveting read and a profound examination of evil, revenge, and the cost of violence. So, if you didn't know this, on the back of the bio, it says that Malloy, I mean, yeah. Oh my God, what am I saying? Eric Bogosian was a Pulitzer Prize finalist for his play Talk Radio, which also was made into a movie. So that's like one of the many reasons people like or of what he's known for. So yes, I'm so excited. I was really excited to put together this all these prompts again. This is like um my favorite character, but also just because I'm excited to read like Eric's book. All right, everyone, real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and share if I can StoryGraph for us to look at for a hot second. So when you go to StoryGraph, there's challenges, and you can look up. I have 7 books on Claudia's bookshelf right here. If you're not familiar with StoryGraph, and when you go there, you could attach like what books you're reading. So I could click on Claudia as a writer and then add a book. So I've already attached the books that I've read. But I'll be doing the same thing for Daniel Malloy, and so I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what that looks like. Oh, but here we are. I'm back. Lastly, after all that, since we're kicking off a new segment, this is my chance to do shout outs. What am I watching recently that I'm really enjoying? And so, although I am in the booktube space, I just like to share whatever my interest is. So it's typically at times beyond the booktube space. And so here we go. Let me share the first one. Awkward Virgo TV. This came up in my feed. I can't remember if it came up on YouTube or Instagram, but the creators of this started a comic series, a comedy series, The Comic Shop. It's really, really cute. I mean, they're like shorts practically. Like one is like 14 minutes. I think they have like a handful of episodes out. It's about a comic book shop owner getting her shop off the ground and her relationships at the comic book shop. It's really, really cute. It's funny. It's enjoyable. The characters have depth while just being like over the top silly. And I've really, really enjoyed it. Like the episode Mommy Issues, Rent's Due was the first episode. The Dungeons and Dragons episode was a lot of fun. My daughter really likes Dungeons and Dragons, so I watched that one with her. But it's just a lot of fun. Okay, so that was Awkward Virgo TV, and everything that I mentioned here, I'm going to go ahead and include in the description below. Here we go. The next one is a buddy of mine, so that's kind of the disclaimer, I guess. So this is The Simulation Presents. Formerly, the other channel was Film Age Studios. I like their stuff because I'm just into like film analysis and all that stuff and how people construct movies, television, just like the visual medium. And so he'll be putting together shorts and other things as well as lives. Like for instance, I don't know if he's gonna still do it on this one, but he'll go live like when he's scouting out like locations and stuff, and just have chats about like film and TV and whatnot. And I've been really enjoying that. And so yeah, they're kicking off their new channel. They only have like 19 videos, 52 subscribers. There's a teaser trailer. I don't know if I'm allowed to share it, so I'll just let you know what's there. I've shared in my posts as well. And so I just look forward to everything that he puts together on his channel because I definitely think that he has like a keen eye and like a specific vision when he's putting together his visual art is pretty cool. So I just thought I'd share that and give that shout out to Simulation. Next one, you already know I'm a huge fan of. Let me see. King Nikki. Nikki is someone that is like absolutely hilarious, sharp-witted, loves horror, also loves pets. They have an adorable dog. That's besides the point. They also like self-funded and also did I think like a Kickstarter to create their first debut film. It's called Apple. It's going to be like a horror version of like Adam and Eve, and like an interpretation of that. And so I look forward to what whenever they put it out. I'm just really excited because again, they're so dang like they're just like so quick-witted, and definitely I enjoy like their perspective. She really makes me like dig deeper as far as analysis goes. So I'm like a huge fan. And so keep an eye out for Nikki. They they've done like movie like film criticism, but again they're kind of like moving into the space of she's a director now, you know. So you're gonna see more like behind the scenes and digging into how they create their art. And so I just look forward to everything that Nikki does. And so keep your eyes peeled, get to know Nikki and everything she's about in case if that's something that you're interested in. And once again, last but not least, see, is Jenny J. Bowles. So here we are. Okay, here we go. Jenny is in the booktube space along with me, and they do like I really enjoy their book tags, but also what I really like is they'll read poetry, just little segments, and I've really enjoyed that. And they also have a cat, and so sometimes you get to see their fur baby just chilling while they're reading, and I think that's kind of like a big highlight for me. But she's just real sweet and very welcoming, and I just appreciate people like that. So keep Jenny on the mind in case, especially if you're in the booktube space and you enjoy poetry readings. It's really for also for someone like me that has like a difficult time understanding poetry. She makes me love poetry like just a little bit more, even though it continues to feel like out of my depth. You know. Lastly, I forgot to bring this up, but the first thing is this is like the closest thing I could put together, kind of like last minute for Daniel Malloy. If you've seen Daniel tends to wear like shirts like this, and I already have glasses and gray hair, so I didn't have to do much for Daniel Malloy to represent him. So I got away with that one. The more complex character to dress up for is gonna be Lestat. I don't know what I'm gonna do, especially with season 3 coming out. Anyways, so if you're interested in watching along with me, sorry, it's hotter than hell over here in California. Okay, I'm roasting. So if you're interested in reading along with me, usually I'll share like on the posts, the community tab, what I'm reading, just so you have an idea of when I start reading. That way you'll have an idea when to check in on StoryGraph and see if the read along is available. Also, I'm on Instagram in case you want to follow me there. Sometimes, even on Instagram, if I find like certain excerpts really like stick out to me, I tend to share in stories and then I create a highlight for that for each book, kind of like in kind of like present form. So until I'm done reading that book, then I kind of let it go. But in case you're interested in like seeing the highlights of a book, that's something that I share when I'm on Instagram. So that's basically what I use it for mostly. And also sharing my cat photos. So if you're interested in this readathon and let me know if you're going to read the books that I'm going to read or if you're going to read different books for the prompts. And lastly, by the time I put out my book reviews, in case you're not interested in the readathon, I still do like a brief chat about the book and I try to keep it separate. Like the chat about the book will always be first, and then I'll answer 3 questions in relation to the readathon and why I'm doing it. And lastly, I might discuss a couple of things if I felt like they need to expand on it or I'm finding even more connections. But I try to keep it like a little bit structured in case anyone's not interested in that portion. At least at the top, you could just listen about the book, basically. With that said, thank you everyone for participating and encouraging me. I'm so glad I'm doing this. This has been like a lot of fun. And also behind me, I'm always sharing art. So here's young Daniel in the background. In case you'll be seeing that. That's gonna change out the different Daniels over time. Anyways, so just keep in mind that life is chaos. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and read more books. Bye.